Coming up, tornadoes rip through Tennessee and GA airports are left in shambles.
The future of flight is now, or is it?
And a hot new paint job on your good-as-new hot rod. The new look for your RV-10 Sweepstakes airplane. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
I believe that trust is something that you earn over time. It's not something that you have right away. We've been repairing headsets for years now, and I personally have been repairing headsets for 11 years. When a customer sends in their headset, they trust that it will be repaired and it will be perfect.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Alyssa Cobb.
Right now, dozens of families are grieving lost loved ones. Many more are picking up pieces of what used to be their homes, and communities around the Nashville area are rallying to help those affected.
A tornado producing at least EF3 level damage ripped through Nashville area overnight on March 3rd. At the time we record this, the death toll is at 24 and hundreds of homes destroyed. Also at the center of the tornado's destructive path, several general aviation airports. John C. Toon Airport on the city's west side was decimated. Hangars full of business jets down to piston singles tossed around like toys. This airplane unrecognizable. What appears to be a Cirrus Caps chute strewn over wrecked cars. The airport appears to have taken a direct hit. It's closed while crews work to sort through the wreckage. No injuries reported from the field, but it's complicated by fuel trucks that blew up and caught fire in the storm.
And the storms rolled all the way across the metro area. These photos from the Lebanon Municipal Airport east of Nashville. The damage was not as severe as at Toon, but it left a number of airplanes likely totaled and hangars severely damaged. Crews are still working to restore power to the airport as of this taping.
And I was shocked to see those images.
Yeah.
I've been covering general aviation for 35 years, seen lots of airports damaged by hurricanes, sometimes by tornadoes, and I have never seen destruction like that of many airframes.
Yeah.
One report was $90 million worth of damage to the airport itself,
Goodness.
not including the airframes.
Yeah.
And so some of that Falcon and some of the other big airplanes, those are tens of millions of dollars a piece, plus all the little airplanes too, and it's a real shame.
Yeah, and just the destruction you see there at the airport, and then imagining that all across the Nashville area.
Yeah.
Now, the aviation community is already rallying to help those affected by the storms. That's one thing I love about the GA community. The Aircraft Electronics Association has had their annual convention planned for later this month in Nashville. The venue is unaffected and the show is going on, but AEA is now giving a portion of the proceeds from a silent auction to help those affected by the tornadoes.
It's a rulemaking process that has really stirred up a buzz in the model airplane community. More than 30,000 people chiming in about the proposed rule to ensure that virtually all unmanned aircraft can be tracked and identified. Now, AOPA is telling the FAA to leave room for low-risk drone ops. AOPA has long supported safe integration of drones into the national airspace system and has worked for years with fellow stakeholders to safely advance the technology. AOPA has been called on to advise the FAA on a range of issues, including remote identification of drones. AOPA is telling the feds that requiring the individual registration of low-risk and low-cost model aircraft that are required to operate within line of sight, that does not increase public safety or security. Now, the FAA will review the tens of thousands of comments and may or may not make changes to the final rule on remote identification.
It's visionary, it's audacious, it's inspirational. It might be dang near impossible, but hey, that's the whole point of an aspirational challenge. The $2 million GoFly competition for a personal flying machine.
So I hope that in 20 years from now, we are all flying like Superman and Harry Potter.
How do you make people fly? Launch a global competition.
To fly like a bird or Superman or even Harry Potter. 2.5 years ago, serial entrepreneur Gwen Leiter convinced Boeing and other sponsors to put up more than $2 million in total prize money in a challenge to create a personal flying machine.
Look, defying gravity is incredibly hard.
And the competition rules made it even harder, including size limits and a requirement to not have rotors or structure above the pilot. The entrants ranged from solo dreamers,
flies, it hovers, fits in your garage. Everything you'd ever want for excitement and thrills, and it may or may not cost you a wife.
To small teams.
It's not just a tech toy, it's our way of sharing our message with the world. We really want to push innovation and imagination, especially for kids, and this is my way to get enough attention that I can channel that onto something good.
To companies building technology demonstrators.
We'd like to sell ducted propellers to everyone that wants to use this. We see it as an enabling technology for any application where size, noise, and safety are critical.
To university research programs.
And then we want to generate more resources and use GoFly as a springboard to develop further prototypes and eventually get this to market.
On the first day of the GoFly competition, demonstration flights.
Ooh.
Well, he said this was hard. Now, day 2 was supposed to be the actual fly-off, but the wind was too stiff. Now, in truth, only one of the finalists could have flown the Dragonair hoverboard, but a landing mishap the day before disqualified the machine. So, no winners this year.
That grand prize is still up for grabs, so our teams can compete for that. We look forward, if anyone else is interested in joining us, feel free to reach out to us at info@goflyprize.com to find out more about it. But that grand prize is still open to anybody who wants to take up that challenge.
But the Tetra team from Japan did win the Pratt & Whitney $100,000 Disruptor Prize for...
A team that challenged the status quo, delivered unique thinking into a complex issue, and considered safety, reliability, durability, and system integration.
And although the Tetra team has yet to fly a manned prototype,
we are not going to stop. We want to develop it as much. We want to be the first to show the world that yes, this kind of technology is possible and everyone can have it. We want to make it so safe that anyone can just wake up in the morning and I want to buy it, and they can go and buy one.
All of the teams are continuing. The dream of a personal flying machine really isn't that far away.
As a child, I always wanted to fly. My sister and I would make crazy contraptions and throw ourselves out of trees to see if we could fly. And decades later, when I started learning about all of this, the convergence of breakthrough technologies, we realized that it was the first moment in history where we actually had the ability to make people fly in that way of our childhood dreams.
Warren Morningstar, AOPA Live.
You know, my childhood dream that I tried out was Mary Poppins with an umbrella during a thunderstorm. Yes.
Wow. That's got some risk there.
I didn't know at the time. But those would be fun to try out. You know, once they get a little further along, you know, those landings looked a little scary.
It did. I was out there last week and got to see some of them and talk to some of the folks, and it was a little scary, but really inspirational at the same time to see, you know, mostly young people and the teams from some of the universities and whatnot really throwing their heart and soul in this and trying to make this happen. And probably none of the products that we actually saw are ever going to go anywhere in and of themselves, but there's lots of foundations being built for maybe some future products. So it'll be fun to see where that goes.
That will.
Yeah, good for them. Well, hey, a major acquisition in the fractional ownership world. Wheels Up buying Gamma Jet to take on market leader NetJets. It makes Wheels Up the second biggest private aviation company in the United States. Last year, Wheels Up bought Delta Private Jets. The company was founded in 2013 with an emphasis on short-haul turboprop segments. The purchase sets them up to compete better in the longer jet market. Terms of the deal were not released. Coming up, the AOPA Online Flight Planner is going away and what that means to you.
And your RV-10 Sweepstakes airplane is looking great in new paint. But first, we have sad news again this week, another loss. James Lipton was an icon on stage and screen. He passed away at his Manhattan home on Monday. The longtime host of Inside the Actors Studio was an avid general aviation pilot. For many years, he proudly wore his AOPA member wings on his show, leading to an iconic exchange with comedian Robin Williams in 2001. In 2012, Lipton sat down with AOPA Live to talk about his love for flying.
What is your favorite aviation activity?
Well, flying an airplane, knowing that I've just rotated and lifted off the runway, and that now it's up to me. That's the favorite activity. But if you were to ask, a broader question, an event or times that you've had in the airplane that you enjoyed the most. My wife and I have a home in the Hamptons, and we frequently have gone to the airport, got into a plane with a couple of friends in the back seat, my wife in the right seat, me in the left. This is in a Cessna 1472 with four-seater. Say 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, on a beautiful summer day, take off and go to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. 45 minutes after we take off, I land in Martha's Vineyard, say, or Nantucket. Park the plane, get out, go to dinner. My wife and my friends have a drink and enjoy themselves. I do not, of course, because I'm flying the airplane, and besides, I don't care much about drinking anyway, so it's no loss. But I have a wonderful dinner. By 11 o'clock, I go back to the airport, and it's dark. They've closed down, of course, out there. And I click my microphone 5 times, and it lights up. I lit up an entire airport, green and blue and red and white. I turned on an airport. I go to the end of the runway, take off. 45 minutes later, I'm tying down in East Hampton. And 15, 20 minutes later, my guests and my wife and I have all gone to our respective beds, and we're going to sleep blissfully to sleep. And that's an adventure. That's a lovely way to spend an evening for me. I can't think of a better way.
Assuming heaven is real and it has an airport, what do you want the Wright brothers to say to you when you taxi up to the ramp?
My God, you greased that landing. That's what I want to hear. I greased it from the Wright brothers. What greater praise could I ask for?
Well, you can find our full interview with him on our AOPA Live YouTube channel. Look for 10 Questions with James Lipton. Lipton was 93 years old. We'll be right back.
Purchasing your own aircraft is an exciting experience. AOPA Finance simplifies the process, saving you money with lower interest rates and hassle-free loans, so you get into your new aircraft sooner. AOPA Finance, the right approach to buying an aircraft.
Welcome back. To everything, there's a season, and that includes aviation safety. The AOPA Air Safety Institute and Hartzell Propeller are bringing pilots a topical series based on the time of year. ASI Executive Director Richard McSpadden says the first episode is meant to help break off any rust that formed over these winter months.
You know, if you look throughout our flying calendar, there are certain inflection points where flying just changes a little bit differently. And to start out with, our first episode is called Out of Hibernation, The Awakening. So we all haven't been flying quite as much as we used to in the winter, so we're a little bit rusty. Our skills aren't where they were when we dropped off. So it's about how do we get back up, kind of come through our spring training and get back into flying again. The whole series is sponsored by Hartzell, and we're so delighted that they stepped up to sponsor the series for us.
Season of Safety will debut live on the Air Safety Institute YouTube channel this Thursday, March 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern. It'll be archived there in case you miss it.
Women in Aviation International and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University are launching a free course for girls ages 8 to 17. The online self-paced program starts later this month. The course leverages Embry-Riddle expertise and instructional design to inspire the next generation of aviation professionals. Students will be able to explore aviation terminology, identify the major parts of an airplane, describe flight characteristics of a helicopter, and discuss the goals of space exploration. Find more details on the Women in Aviation website. AOPA is speaking up in favor of a bill that would be for the NCAA, and it's not the one you're thinking of. It would create something called the National Center for the Advancement of Aviation. The private entity would get no general taxpayer funding. It is designed to allow stakeholders to come together to make sure the U.S. remains competitive in the global aviation and aerospace industries. The bipartisan idea has support from many other aviation groups. You can read more about it on our website.
A couple of aviation apps are losing support, sadly, and one of them is our own, the AOPA Online Flight Planner. This popular program for desktop computers is powered by a Jeppesen map engine, But that engine has become obsolete and Jeppesen won't support it any longer. So the AOPA online flight planner won't be available after April, but we're working on some options.
The AOPA flight planner does have some unique, really good features. And we are working with the industry to try to get an option or options for pilots to incorporate as many of those features as possible, either immediately or over time. Now, we're still working with a couple of players in the industry to try to get us the best product possible. And we don't have much to inform pilots about yet, and we are trying to move as quickly as possible to get information out there.
That same Jeppesen engine powers the Quick Clear Customs Clearance app. It too will sunset this week. Well, next time you see it, you won't recognize it.
The AOPA Sweepstakes RV-10 is fresh out of the paint shop, and it looks like a completely different airplane. AOPA Editor-at-Large Dave Hirschman has more.
Its restoration is finally complete. Your AOPA Sweepstakes RV-10 is as close to perfect as we can make it. Exterior paint was the last big job, and Craig Barnett of Scheme Designers and Kendall Horst of Lancaster Aero hit the ball out of the park. They've given this former diamond in the rough a stunning and durable new look.
One of the main design goals remains consistent, and that's for the aircraft to get noticed. You really want it to stand out at shows, and you really want members to be able to identify it really easily.
They've replaced the airplane's former fading, peeling, weather-beaten yellow with a lustrous red, glossy black, and sparkling gold.
With this particular aircraft, one of my criteria was no white. We wanted bright, bold colors to really show what fun an RV-10 is.
And the craftsmen at Lancaster Aero did much more than simply strip and paint the airplane. They repaired damaged fiberglass, replaced old hardware, and added a much more secure latching system to both doors.
At Lancaster Aero, we like to look at it from a mechanical point of view where we need to fix the problems before we repaint the aircraft.
Now the AOPA Sweeps RV-10 is ready to meet aviation enthusiasts around the country. Look for it at air shows and AOPA fly-ins where it will showcase exceptional aviation technology, craftsmanship, and value. Late this year, when the leaves have fallen and the days are getting short, it will be awarded as the grand prize in that 2020 AOPA Sweepstakes. Good luck to you in that drawing. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
Wow, that looks great.
I saw it for the first time a couple of days ago, and then we did another photo shoot with it this week, and in the sky it looks stunning against a bright blue sky. Holy cow, it's really nice.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody's going to have a wonderful airplane.
Absolutely beautiful. I wish I could run it. Maybe we could change the rules.
I don't know that's going to happen, but good luck to you on that one.
Thanks. Well, that's our program for the week. Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Tell your friends, send us your thoughts the old-fashioned way if you prefer. The address is there on your screen. See you next week.
There are many important things to consider before purchasing an aircraft. Let the experts at Aerospace Reports help guide you through the process. We combine expert knowledge with our long-standing commitment to personalized customer service to perfect your transaction. Learn more at aerospacereports.com.